So how do you make bell peppers safe for your baby to eat? I love bell peppers. As a dietitian, from a nutrition standpoint, they're packed with vitamin C. And vitamin C is important because it helps your baby absorb iron from the other foods that you're offering. But here's the deal. If you take your good old-fashioned plain raw bell pepper, you can't just offer this in strips to a baby, because that's a choking hazard. We don't do any raw, crunchy, or crispy foods for babies, but you want your baby to try a variety of fruits and vegetables. Bell peppers are a great one, again, because of that vitamin C. Hang tight, I'm gonna show you how to make bell peppers safe for your baby to eat with baby-led weaning. I'll share my favorite recipe. It's so easy and so delicious. Babies love this, but you'll like this one too.
Later.
All right, so let's talk about some ways to make bell peppers safe for baby-led weaning. You can't just cut these into strips, as I mentioned, okay? We generally do, for early eaters, want to make foods about the size of your adult pinky finger. One thing I would recommend doing is roasting the red bell peppers. So you can cut these puppies in half, you can add some oil to them if you want to, but when they come out of the oven, you do want to remove the skins. And I find that to be the most tedious part. If you do it when it's too hot, you'll burn your fingers and they don't come off. If you wait till the peppers get too cool, then they get stuck back on the fruit or the vegetable. So one thing you can do when you roast the bell peppers is to take them out and then put them in a zip top bag and seal it. And they kind of steam. You let them sit there for about 15 minutes. The skins then steam and peel right off really easily. Then you can cut them into strips about the size of your adult pinky finger. Again, that's a little labor intense, so I tend to be a little bit on the lazier side. I prefer to use jarred red bell peppers for baby-led weaning. Okay, anytime anything's coming out of a jar, they're probably adding some sodium in there. So look for a brand that has the lowest amount of sodium possible. My general rule of thumb is if I'm choosing a canned or packaged or processed food for my baby, it's not that often, but when I do, I'm gonna look for less than 100 milligrams of sodium per serving. So this particular brand is great because a half of a pepper is a serving size, which your baby's not gonna eat that whole serving size, but that has 100 milligrams of sodium, so it passes the test. Would cut it into strips about the size of my adult pinky finger. Then you can see it's kind of nice, pliable and flexible here. This is nice and soft and safe for your baby to eat. Put those strips in a suction bowl or a mat and let your baby try the bell pepper that way. Another way you can do bell peppers safely for babies is to make the roasted red bell peppers into a Romesco sauce. Now, Romesco is cool because it's kind of a pureed consistency, and you can offer that off of a pre-loaded spoon, so your baby can feed themselves. That's baby-led weaning in action. Or you can use the Romesco sauce as a way to make another food, like a protein food that you're offering, a little bit safer for your baby to eat, because sauces lubricate and moisten the foods that we're offering to babies and make it easier for them to swallow. Now, here's the deal with Romesco. It's a red bell pepper sauce that also has almonds in it. Now, almonds are a type of tree nut, and that's a potentially allergenic food. So your baby is not going to be allergic to red bell peppers. So you could potentially do this recipe as the way to introduce your baby to almonds, which is a type of tree nut, a potentially allergenic food. I love this recipe because it's got the vitamin C from the red bell pepper. It's got the almonds, which has some protein and the allergenic food component. It's got some other great flavor opportunities for your baby in there. And because you make it nice and smooth, it's not like a combination food with multiple textures in it that can be hard for earlier eaters to eat. This is one that you could also offer to your baby very early on in self-feeding. It's a Romesco sauce made with red bell peppers and almonds. All right, so here's the ingredients for the Romesco recipe. You take 1 16-ounce jar of roasted bell peppers, drained, okay? And then there's a half of a cup of raw or roasted almonds. I do want to always just check that these are unsalted, okay? Those are the almonds, a half a cup. The other ingredients include 2 cloves of garlic, which you peel and you quarter, a tablespoon of sherry vinegar or red wine vinegar, a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and you mix those together. Now, for you as an adult, you might want to add a little bit of salt in back at the end. I suggest you portion out the baby's part first, and you add the salt later. The instructions to make this recipe are really easy. You combine everything except the olive oil. Oh, I forgot to mention, there's some olive oil in here as well, about a half a cup of olive oil. Put them all in the food processor with the exception of the olive oil. Start your food processor on low, Gradually increase that speed as it gains a little bit of traction. Once the ingredients are mostly blended, you start drizzling in the olive oil while you are running the blender, and then blend it until you reach the desired consistency. But really make sure you kind of smooth those nuts out. We don't want to offer any intact or crunchy pieces of nuts to babies, as that could be a choking hazard.